Hi, welcome to the Hearts on Fire podcast. Go ahead and grab a Bible, a pen, and a notebook, and let's dive into the Word. Thank you.
Hi, welcome to the Hearts on Fire podcast, where we believe that one heart on fire can awaken an entire generation. I'm Clayson,
Oh, I'm Jake.
Ronnie.
and we are going to talk about masculinity, like manliness, but in a biblical way. You know, we've got a lot of misconceptions about men in the world compared to what the Bible says about men and fathers and just what we're created to be. And we just kind of want to just have a conversation about that today. So, um, let's talk about what. Let's start off in the beginning. I think it's important maybe that we start off with the first man if we're going to talk about men. Don't you think?
That's fair. That's fair.
So, God makes Adam, and he is the original, the first man. And I wrote down, you probably got this wrote down too, Jake, that I thought I had the definition, like the meaning of the name wrote down. But it means like of the earth, right?
Adam?
Of the dirt. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it can also be translated as humanity
Yeah,
itself.
that's it.
Adam, you look at like that God, everything else God kind of made, just like with words.
Yeah.
Like with man, like when you look at it like the Hebrew, like he handcrafted man.
Yeah.
And like breathed into him and shared his gift of life with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like the very basis of humanity is communion.
Yeah.
Like it's being literally face to face, like with God,
with the Father.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's really good. I think we've definitely I think God definitely laid it out one way when he created Adam, when he created man. I think that versus what we see as a man today in today's society has it's really changed a lot. Like it's a lot different than original intent. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm interested, and like Ronnie can touch this too on like when you say like when you see like men in like today's society, like how do you go about it like versus the original intention?
Well, I think it's the loss of identity compared to creation, like original intent, because we were created, not we, but man in general, Adam being the I guess you could say the blueprint, like
That's
the
fair.
original, was created one way for an original purpose, but then somewhere down the line, however old we believe, creation to be, it's been corrupted. Things have been lost. Things have been added, and we've went from the identity that God gave us, the mission that God gave us, which is to lead, to look one way, and we've replaced it with another. Does that make sense to you?
No,
you
that's fair.
And I think now I know that because God had an original intention, that's where we talk about that all the time, original intention, but that's where we're supposed to go. Like we're supposed to be a certain way, and that's where God wants us to go back to. He wants to reconcile like manhood back to his original intent.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yep.
I think that. Go ahead.
No, I don't have. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, when I think about like, I feel like there's very little middle ground, like in the sense of like, in men that you're either very passive and just let your wife do everything,
Yeah,
or you're like totally domineering and controlling,
yeah,
and like sit down and shut up.
Yeah, I agree. And I have a note for this, and we'll probably get deeper into it in one of the later episodes. This is a 4-parter, but when we can even look at Jesus when we're doing this, I feel like people forget about Jesus, but not in every way, but when you're talking about manhood, because I think people see Jesus as like soft or something that he's not. But he is like everything he did was perfect, and that includes being a man and falling into the roles of the Father's intention for a man. Don't you think?
Yeah, and um, I would say along with that, to look at Jesus like when he was here, not just as like fully God, but fully man too.
Yeah.
That like he lived out the original intention that Adam was supposed to go into. Like that's why he's the last Adam.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like how, because when I was growing up, it was always like, oh, Jesus is God. Like when they looked at him, like,
Yeah.
you know, as having any kind of human characteristics.
Yeah.
Versus like that he stepped into time, you know, joined himself to humanity forever.
Yeah.
And like to this day, like he sitting next to the Father, he's both God and man.
Yeah.
Like forever.
Yeah. And I like how, is it Hebrews that says that he is the last, like the final Adam?
I think so.
I believe it is Hebrews. I can't remember the chapter.
I think Paul talked about it a little bit too.
I think he did. But I love that because it's not saying that he is the next Adam or the current Adam, like for the time. Like he is the last Adam. Like, and this is what we're to follow. Like this is what we'll look like. This is what the blueprint was supposed to be a long time ago.
So looking at the like the passivity side of it. So I think it's in Genesis 2, God gives Adam the commission, and I think it's after that. It's when Eve added in too. Mm-hmm. But to essentially I'm gonna take my bubble. I think it's to watch it. It's to keep watch.
Yeah.
And to cultivate. That's essentially what it comes down to. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at them in Hebrew and you look at like the Greek of it, it's talking about how to guard it, like keep it safe, like a military guard, and to cultivate it with the intention that it would overtake, right? Yeah. They would grow. Not to keep it like the Garden of Eden wasn't supposed to be maintained. It was supposed to overtake. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so what you see though in Genesis 3, a new character is introduced, like the snake comes to Eve and says, I'm trying to think exactly how it says it. Like, did God really say? I think that's what it comes down to. Mm-hmm. And what's so interesting is all the times before that, it's Yahweh Elohim, right? But the snake just refers to him as Elohim, which is just God or like the spirit being, however you want to go about it, and leaves off like the person, like the personal aspect of God. Yeah. And so he plants this idea on Eve's head, essentially like God's holding out on you. Mm-hmm. And so what we were talking about right before this is how Adam had this commission the same as Eve to guard this garden, which Eden, can mean like delight, mm-hmm. right? And Adam doesn't take care of the snake, right? Even when Eve begins to to talk to it and respond, she doesn't take care of the snake either. Yeah. But Adam was there. Like the blame can't just fall on Eve with it. Yeah. And then when Adam was approached with the fruit, it doesn't say he tried to confront her and be like, "Hey, this is probably a bad idea." Yeah. Like he just took it and ate. Yeah. And like a lot of times, what we see today is like men avoiding conflict. Yeah. Rather than being confrontational and like risking stepping on people's toes.
Rather than taking care of the snake before it can cause a problem.
That too.
Where now, big passivity has caused us to live in the repercussions, the consequences.
Because it's easier.
It is. Yep. It is easier.
I mean, it's like y'all was saying about the snake. If we go outside and our wives see a snake, I'm not going to expect my wife to go and kill this snake. She's going to come in and get me. As a man, it's our responsibility to protect. So if you think about it, if Adam would have dealt with the serpent instead of having Eve go out and deal with it, then he could have, so to speak, cut the head off the snake, and it would have been done, and none of that would have ever happened.
I mean, because what you see happen is God had given Adam and Eve this authority, and then when they yielded to the serpent, they gave up their authority to it and became captive and slaves to it.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, that's what got us in the whole mess in the first place.
It's kind of like the world today. I mean, so like you can look at the snake as like a lot of things, like Friends, stuff on TV, stuff like that. You can look at that a lot of way, because that's stuff that could take you away from your path to God.
Yes, and I think it even goes into what destroys your identity.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And like, it could be a lot of things, especially like TikTok, Instagram, all these things that make you go from looking at him to like looking at yourself.
Yeah.
And like what raises the questions, did God really say?
Mm-hmm.
Because like what happened with Eve is that she lost the idea that she was like his daughter, like the Lord's, God's daughter, and like lost that connection to where he was just like, she took on the view of the snake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's so important to be like, are we centered right now like on what the Lord's saying, or are we centered on, like, do we only see like the bad in us?
Yeah. And we have to, that all comes back to what would have happened if Adam had not been passive, if he had done what he was supposed to do in the garden that day, which is take care of the snake before it gets goes any further.
Before it becomes a problem.
And like, obviously there's like blame on Eve for for partaking of the fruit, for entertaining the serpent. But I would argue that there's almost a greater burden, a greater failure on Adam, on the man part, because he was established first, and we see all through Scripture the man being established as the head, created first before Eve, is what the Bible says. And like, it was his job to take care of it. So I think that his failure was arguably worse than Eve's, even though Eve's, sent the world into sin, destroyed everything. It really, the bigger burden came on Adam for not doing his part.
Well, and when you look at it from like a marriage perspective, like when marriage is introduced, it calls them one flesh. Mm-hmm. And like, I don't know, there's just the passivity of it really damaged everything. Mm-hmm. Because like you see shortly after that is when like the first murder happens on page 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yep. And like they lost themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, if they could have been like, I know a lot of modern couples don't do this now, but if they could have been like, my wife, I'm sure you guys' wife the same way. If I have a major decision to make or something that could affect my family, I go to my wife, ask her opinion, she'll do the same with me. So when she came back suggesting all these things that the snake put in her head, he could have been like, okay, let's talk about this. Why do you think that's the best decision? And they could have talked it out and prevented every bit of that from happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. But instead of that, we got what we got, so to speak.
That's fair.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda things.
I wasn't there.
Oh shoot.
And I think that's why we're here, like today, like having this discussion, is to go like, I guess, learn from Adam's mistake. Again, not saying Eve didn't make a mistake, but learning from Adam's failure, and as a man, learning how we can do the right thing, how we can do our job, what we're created to do, and not and be able to avoid repercussions of allowing a quote unquote snake into our households, our churches, our relationships, all of that. You have something?
I mean, I was just thinking about how when you look at original intention, if we're made in God's image and God is love, like it kind of goes back to what you were saying before about like a lot of times when we think about love, you were saying like it's like soft and like, but like if you like look at like First Corinthians 13 where it really spells it out, and I'm not saying that like we can be this without grace, but like, grace is with us to enable us to do do things that we can't normally do. And it says, if I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I'm a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal.
Yeah.
Husbands, right? And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, if I have all faith as to remove mountains, but have not love, I'm nothing. If I give all I have, if I deliver my body to be burned, but have not love, I gain nothing. And then it goes on to say, love is patient and kind, love does not envy or boast. It's not arrogant or rude. It doesn't insist on its own way. It's not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, and hopes all things, and endures all things. Love never ends. And like, when you look at that, like that was like when God made Adam, like that was Adam's role in the garden. And like, not saying, the whole Eve thing, but like, it's like love confronts, and like just in relation to like the passivity and whatnot, like you gotta know what's worth confronting. Do you know what I mean? Because like going back to the other hinge where it's like sit down and shut up, that's also not love. Like and it really like what are your thoughts?
I agree. I was thinking when you were saying that it's all in love, but love isn't always. But love hardly ever is how we define it. Actually, it's not ever how we define it. Love is like God already defined love, like eternally. And if we go trying to define love and do things out of love, then we're going to be passive. We're going to let things happen. We're going to let the snake in because it's easier to deal with than to get rid of that thing. And there's a way to do it. Like I've known passive men. I've been a passive man at times, but I've also known men that are like domineering, my way or the highway, and there will be no other way. And that's not it either. Like you said, the whole women need to sit down and shut up thing. Like also not love. There's
we mean it.
there's a tension somewhere in the middle that's like actual biblical truth, and it's not too soft and it's not dominant, because Jesus didn't even like God in flesh did not lead in dominance. He led in love, which was, here you go, this is how you should live. What do you want to? You can do it or you can not do it.
Well, and the way that the Bible describes meekness, like the actual definition is to have a sword but no one to use it.
That's tough.
Yeah, so like it's not being like being poor and whatever. It's like, no, I could take you out right now, but I'm not going to.
Yeah,
like even when he's speaking to women throughout the Bible, he sets and takes time to listen to them, listen to their concerns, listen to their story. He's not just like, it don't matter, sit down. He cares. As men, we are to care about our wives and basically everybody, but still.
Yeah. And not take away that we're to live our lives and fulfill our role as men in such a way as to like that fills our role and does our job, that also doesn't take away from the woman's role and her job, because we can definitely we can do it the wrong way. And I think we've seen generations of women who have been shut down and shut up and not allowed to speak, not allowed to get out, I would say, what God has put in their hearts, because of men thinking they were acting in their role and in their capacity, but they were really like, it was a counterfeit. It was a counterfeit masculinity.
Well, and even when you look at like Colossians 3:18 and 19, it says, "Wives, submit to your husbands as fitting to the Lord," which everybody loves. But then ever after that, it says, "Husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them."
Yeah. Yeah. And even it's Ephesians, right, that says the same thing, but it also says men to love your wives as Christ loved the church, right? I think it's Ephesians.
Yeah, I mean, Paul says that.
I didn't.
As
I
much
think he
as he
says it a
can.
few times.
He's like, "I'm not married, but y'all,
Yeah.
you know."
But um, to love your wife as Christ loved the church. And I love how was it Dan Moeller? I forgot about that. And I'm just remembering it now. Dan Moeller was preaching on that one time, and he said, you know, wives are to submit all that what it says. But then he reads the man's part. It says, "Love your wife as Christ loves the church." And he said,
Yeah,
we have the more burdensome command.
because it's to lay our lives down.
Yeah.
Like that. It's not about us anymore. It's
Yeah.
about like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And we've kind of like that's another way like that this has been manhood has been corrupted by the world is we went from a love and a role that lays its life down for the church to headiness, to pride, to my way or the highway, you know. And it's a real far cry from what we said 100 times this episode. If we need a counter for how many times we say original intention.
Make sure to edit that in.
Down in the corner, yeah, I'll get on that. But I think that's a good stopping point for our first episode. Just kind of an introduction on what we want to talk about in this and kind of the direction we want to go. But thank you guys for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, all that good stuff.
Hit that bell.
Hit the bell.
Share it. Share it.
Share it too. Share it too. And
Shoot.
if this has touched you in any way, then like Ronnie said, share it, send it out there. Help us spread the word, and we'll see you next time.